On a live TV show, woke activist Taylor Quinn, infamous for shutting down a small Ohio bakery over pronoun demands, sits ready to confront Elon Musk, fueling audience anger over Taylor's bullying tactics. But what Taylor doesn't expect is Elon's response that leaves everyone, including Taylor, speechless. Taylor, with rainbow-colored hair, red, yellow, and green, against their black top, waits in the audience. The host turns to Elon Musk. Elon, activists like Taylor have shut down businesses over pronoun usage. What's your take on recognizing non-binary identities in workplaces? Elon adjusts his mic, his tone steady. I believe there are two genders, male and female. Biology doesn't lie. People can identify how they want, and I'll respect that. But I'm not buying into a third or fourth gender. Forcing me to say otherwise is dogma, not science. And shutting down a bakery over pronouns? That's not justice. It's tyranny. The audience murmurs, already angry at Taylor's actions. Taylor leaps up, face red with fury, pointing at Elon. You're a science denier, Elon. Gender's a spectrum. You're erasing non-binary people with your hate. You're the tyrant, not me. You don't care about the little people, like that bakery you're pretending to defend. The host jumps in. Taylor's calling you out, Elon. What's your response? Elon locks eyes with Taylor, his voice calm but sharp. I'm not the one who shut down that bakery, Taylor. You are. You're no victim. You're the one wielding power. And I'm not denying feelings. I'm stating facts. Chromosomes don't bend to trends. 20, XY. That's biology. A 2024 National Institute of Health study confirms sex is binary at the genetic level. Live your truth, but don't force me to deny reality. Taylor's jaw drops, their words stuck in their throat. Nearby activists, a woman with a buzz cut and a they-them pin, and a man with a man bun and a rainbow wristband, freeze in their seats. The woman's eyes widen, her hands unclenching from the armrests. The man slumps back, his earlier confidence replaced with a blank stare. The audience, already furious with Taylor for the bakery incident, nods in agreement with Elon's logic, their murmurs growing louder. Taylor pushes back, their voice trembling with desperation. You're hiding behind science. You don't get lived experiences. You've never been misgendered. Your privilege blinds you to our pain. You don't know what it's like to be told you don't exist, to be laughed at for who you are, to be pushed out of spaces because you don't fit society's norms. Elon's tone sharpens, cutting through Taylor's emotional plea. This isn't about privilege. It's about truth. I grew up in apartheid South Africa. I've seen real discrimination, real violence. Misgendering doesn't compare to that. And what about the pain you caused that bakery family, Taylor? You're not fighting for justice. You're fighting for control. If you think silencing dissent with privilege accusations is fair, you're the one causing harm. You talk about being pushed out, but you push that family out of their livelihood. Who's the real bully here? Taylor stumbles back a step, their face paling as they struggle to respond. They open their mouth, but no words come out, their breath coming in short, uneven gasps. The activists around them remain stunned. The woman with the buzz cut stares down at her lap, her hands now clasped tightly together, her earlier fire gone. The man with the man bun fidgets with his wristband, his jaw clenched, unable to look up. The audience whispers among themselves, their anger at Taylor now mixed with a growing respect for Elon's unyielding stance. The host clears his throat, sensing the tension in the room. Taylor, do you have anything to add to that? Elon's made some strong points here. Taylor grips the back of the chair in front of them, their hands shaking. Their voice, when it finally comes, is barely audible. You're twisting everything. You're making it sound like I'm the bad guy, but you're the one denying our existence. You're the one who doesn't understand what we go through every day. Elon leans forward slightly, his voice steady but firm. I'm not denying your existence. I'm denying your demand that I rewrite biology to fit your narrative. You exist, you matter, but so does the truth. And the truth is, you hurt that family in Ohio more than any misgendering ever hurt you. You're not the victim here, Taylor. You're the one who chose to destroy a business because they didn't conform to your rules. If you can't handle facts, then maybe you need to rethink your approach. Taylor's knees buckle slightly, and they collapse into their seat, their face drained of color. The activists around them don't speak. Their earlier support for Taylor replaced by a heavy, introspective silence. The woman with the buzz cut keeps her head down, her hands still clasped, her lips pressed into a thin line. The man with the man bun shifts uncomfortably, his fingers still playing with his wristband, his eyes fixed on the floor. The audience continues to whisper, some nodding in agreement with Elon, others exchanging glances as they process the confrontation. The host interjects, his tone cautious. Taylor, it sounds like Elon's challenging your perspective. Do you want to respond to that, or should we move on? Taylor's hands tremble as they grip their knees, their voice barely a whisper. I, I just wanted to make things better. I wanted to make sure people like me aren't erased, aren't ignored. You don't get how hard it is, Elon. You don't get how much it hurts. Elon's voice remains calm, but his words are unyielding. I get that you feel hurt, Taylor. I'm not saying your feelings don't matter, but feelings don't change facts. Biology isn't a social construct. It's a foundation. You can't force everyone to see the world your way, especially not by destroying their lives. That bakery family, they weren't your enemy. They were just trying to survive, like you are. But you made them collateral damage in your crusade. That's not making things better. That's making things worse. Taylor's breath hitches, their eyes glistening with unshed tears. They shake their head, their voice cracking. You don't understand. You'll never understand. You're just sitting there acting like you know everything, but you don't know what it's like to be us. Elon's tone softens slightly, but his words remain firm. I don't have to live your life to know what's true, Taylor. I'm not your enemy either, but I'm not going to lie to make you feel better. Truth isn't personal, it's universal. You want understanding, but you're not offering it to others. You didn't try to understand that bakery family. You judged them, you attacked them, you ruined them. If you want people to hear you, you need to start by listening. Otherwise, you're just shouting into the void. Taylor's hands cover their face, their shoulders trembling as they struggle to hold back tears. The activists around them remain silent, their earlier fire completely extinguished. The woman with the buzz cut glances at Taylor, her expression a mix of concern and confusion. But she doesn't speak. The man with the man bun keeps his eyes on the floor, his fingers still fidgeting with his wristband, his jaw tight. The audience whispers grow louder, many nodding at Elon's words, their frustration with Taylor now tempered by a sense of unease at the raw emotion on display. The host interjects again, his voice careful. Taylor, it looks like this is a deeply personal issue for you. Elon, you've made your stance clear. Let's give Taylor a moment. Do you want to continue or should we take a break? Taylor shakes their head, their hands still covering their face, their voices muffled, barely audible. I can't. I need a minute. The host nods, his tone professional. We'll take a short break then. We'll be back in a few minutes, folks. The audience murmurs among themselves, some whispering about Taylor's reaction, others discussing Elon's points. Taylor remains seated, their hands still covering their face, their shoulders shaking slightly. The woman with the buzz cut reaches over, placing a hand on Taylor's shoulder, but the gesture feels hesitant, uncertain. The man with the man bun doesn't move, his eyes still fixed on the floor, his fingers still fidgeting with his wristband. After a few minutes, the host returns, his voice steady. We're back, folks. Taylor, are you ready to continue, or would you prefer to step out? Taylor lowers their hands, their eyes red and glistening, but they shake their head. I'll stay, but I don't know what to say. The host nods, his tone gentle but firm. That's okay, Taylor. Elon, let's continue the conversation. Taylor's raised some points about lived experiences. Do you have anything to add? Elon adjusts his mic, his voice calm. I've said what I needed to say. I'm not here to attack anyone. I'm here to speak the truth as I see it. Taylor's experience is their own, and I'm not dismissing that. But I'm not going to change my view on biology because of someone's feelings. Truth doesn't work that way, and if we're going to talk about fairness, we need to look at both sides. Taylor's pain doesn't justify the pain they caused that bakery family. That's all I'll say. Taylor's shoulders slump, their hands falling to their lap. They don't respond, their gaze fixed on their knees, their breath uneven. The activists around them remain silent, their earlier support for Taylor replaced by a heavy, uncomfortable quiet. The woman with the buzz cut withdraws her hand, her own hands now clasped tightly in her lap, her eyes darting between Taylor and Elon. The man with the man bun shifts slightly, his fingers still fidgeting, his jaw still tight, his eyes still on the floor. The host clears his throat, his voice steady. This has been a very intense conversation. Taylor, do you have anything else to add, or should we wrap this up? Taylor shakes their head, their voice barely audible. I don't have anything else to say. I need to think about this. The host nods, his tone professional. Thank you, Taylor, for sharing your perspective. Elon, thank you for your input as well. We'll end this segment here, folks. See you next week for more discussions. Elon stands, shakes the host's hand, and exits. Taylor remains seated, their heads still bowed, their eyes glistening with unshed tears. The woman with the buzz cut reaches over, placing a hand on Taylor's shoulder, but the gesture feels hollow. The man with the man bun stands, adjusts his wristband, and walks out without a word. The audience begins to file out, their whispers filling the room as the lights dim. Taylor finally lifts their head, their eyes still glistening, but they don't speak. The activists around them remain silent, grappling with the weight of Elon's words, a weight that lingers long after the show ends.